This is the small market town of Sturminster Newton, which is right in the centre of Dorset, and it had for many years a very flourishing market, but now that's gradually disappeared. The mill has taken over as the main source of interest from tourism and so on. We are fairly sure that there's been a mill here for just about 1,000 years. In 1016, this area of Sturminster, which in those days, south of the river, was called Newton Castle, and that whole area was given to the Abbot of Glastonbury by King Edmund Ironside. So we're pretty sure that there was a mill and a manor house here at that time. The present building was reconstructed in 1566. There's the date carved on a large stone set in the wall behind me here. And so that was the last rebuild as far as we know. These old buildings, without any building regulations, they were a bit of a hodgepodge. So things were knocked about, walls were beaten out, and other bits reconstructed. So the mill does have bits and pieces in it which could well stretch back beyond the 1566 date that we know was the last major reconstruction here. In the old days, of course, working as a miller was quite a dangerous job. There was very little in the way of safety devices. All the machinery was open with very little guarding, and it was very easy to either get hair caught in a machine under belts, which could then scalp you. The other problem was the fact that they were inhaling flour dust all day long, which meant that many of the old millers didn't make what we would regard these days as retirement age. Being so close to the water, in order to get the power out of the water, we do tend to get flooded because it's quite a strong flowing river. Occasionally we get quite a deep flood, and the winter before last we had some 4.5 feet flowing through this very spot through here. When we use this mill these days, we take the grain through the mill twice. It's brought in on this floor, on the ground, taken right up to the top floor to be stored, and then it's gravity fed down through a machine called a winnower. And that winnower cleans the grain for us in the sense that it takes out husk and straw, undersized grain, sometimes little bits of stone and so on, almost anything which might have been in front of the combine harvester. And because it's gravity fed, it means that the clean grain finishes up back down on this floor, and then we haul it to the top of the mill again, ready to come down through the millstones. And then it finishes up once again on this floor as a nice fine, smooth, stone ground flour. I suppose our main challenges are two things. One is getting enough volunteers to help us keep the mill running. Our other main problem, that would be attracting enough tourists here to keep the place going. We are fairly isolated right out in the centre of Dorset. There are no other large organisations, theme parks or anything like that which are bringing large amounts of tourists to the area. So we had to rely on, very largely on passing trade, in fact. So the mill doesn't work full time now, it's just a part-time mill. Most of the time we are simply open and run the machinery so that the tourists can see what happened, but on the second weekend of each month we have a milling weekend, and that means that we do the whole job properly. In the old days, of course, the whole mill worked full time, from morning till night, every day of the week, possibly with a break on Sundays. My grandfather worked this mill all his life. He made retirement age. He came here when he was 14 in 1894. He retired from here when he was 66, and by that time his lungs were so bad that he couldn't get up and down the stairs here and had to have assistants to do the main work in the mill. Downstairs, on where the flour is coming through, I give a little test down there to see what the quality of the flour is. It has to stick together just like that, and then it's okay. Well, I'm Peter Loosemore. I've been looking after this mill since 1994. I came here then as a supervisor just to look after the building, but in the meantime I've started becoming a miller, gradually picking up information from courses and meeting other millers and so on. And now the mill can work and make flour again, which was more than it could do when I first started.